Let's be honest. The moment a man stops chasing approval, something unsettling happens inside a woman. Her nervous system wakes up, her curiosity sharpens, and she starts watching him the way prey watches a quiet predator. Not because he is cruel, not because he is distant, but because he refuses something most men hand over without thinking, their need to be liked. I'm speaking to you as someone who has seen behind the curtain. Women are not attracted to obedience. They are attracted to self-possession. The first thing smart men refuse is the urge to explain themselves. Every unnecessary explanation leaks power. When you over-clarify your intentions, your emotions, your timing, you tell her you're afraid of misunderstanding. And fear is not attractive. Calm certainty is a man who refuses to explain, doesn't argue reality, he states it. He doesn't defend his boundaries like a suspect in an interrogation. He sets them like facts. That quiet refusal creates tension, and tension is the birthplace of desire. Women feel safest when a man trusts his own decisions without begging for validation. Here's the part most men miss. Refusing to explain does not mean being rude or cold. It means speaking once, clearly, and letting silence do the rest. Silence forces emotional investment. She starts filling the gaps with her own thoughts. That mental engagement bonds her more than words ever could. The second refusal begins even earlier before attraction is visible. Smart men refuse to rush intimacy. When a man pushes for emotional closeness too fast, it signals hunger. Hunger repels. But when a man allows connection to unfold at a natural pace, it signals abundance. Women are drawn to men who are not in a hurry to be chosen. Rushing intimacy tells her your life is empty without her. Refusing to rush tells her your life is full and she is invited, not required. That difference changes everything. It flips the power dynamic without force, without games, without manipulation. There is something deeply magnetic about a man who enjoys the moment without trying to extract something from it. He listens, he observes, he engages, but he doesn't cling. That restraint communicates emotional maturity, and emotional maturity feels like safety mixed with excitement. If you've ever wondered why some men seem effortlessly desired, this is why they refuse the things that weaken them. They don't negotiate attraction. They allow it to rise or fall on its own. And that quiet confidence creates a pull that logic cannot explain. She may not consciously understand what she feels, but her body does. Her attention lingers. Her respect grows. Because refusal, when rooted in self-respect, reads as strength. And strength is the foundation of attraction that lasts beyond novelty. Smart men learn this early or painfully late. You are not here to perform. You are here to choose yourself first. And when you do, the right women don't feel pushed, they feel pulled. And that pull is silent, steady, and impossible to fake because it comes from a man who finally stopped giving away what made him valuable. Once you feel this shift, you never go back to chasing again. It changes how women see you and how you see yourself. That truth reshapes everything forever. The third thing smart men refuse feels uncomfortable at first, almost unnatural, because it goes against what most men were taught growing up. Smart men refuse to be emotionally available on demand. That doesn't mean they are emotionally closed. It means they don't become a 24-hour emotional service center. When a man answers every call instantly, replies within seconds, drops his priorities the moment she feels uncertain, he sends a quiet message. My time is flexible because my purpose is not firm. Women don't consciously calculate this, but they feel it. And what they feel determines attraction far more than what they think. A man who refuses emotional availability on demand is saying, without words, my life has structure. My emotions are real, but they are not reactive. I choose when and how I show up. That choice creates respect, and respect is the soil where attraction grows roots instead of burning out fast. Here's the truth. Few men are told emotional availability is valuable only when it is earned, not when it is automatic. When a man gives deep emotional access before trust is built, it feels invasive, even overwhelming. But when he reveals himself gradually with intention, it feels meaningful. Women don't want all of you at once. They want to discover you. Refusal here is subtle. It looks like not dropping everything when she is bored. It looks like listening without fixing. It looks like being present, without becoming responsible for her emotional state. Smart men understand that they are partners, not therapists. The fourth refusal is the most powerful and the most misunderstood. Smart men refuse to tolerate disrespect even in small doses, especially in small doses because small disrespect ignored teaches people how to treat you. Disrespect doesn't always look loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's sarcasm disguised as humor, sometimes it's consistent lateness, sometimes it's testing boundaries to see if you'll stay quiet to keep peace. When a man allows these moments to pass without response, attraction slowly dies. Not because he was kind, but because he was unsafe with himself. A man who calmly addresses disrespect creates polarity. He doesn't explode, he doesn't lecture, he names the behavior and sets the boundary. That firmness communicates self-worth, and self-worth is deeply attractive because it signals emotional stability. Women are drawn to men who can hold the line. Without cruelty, it feels grounding, it feels secure, it feels like being with someone who won't abandon himself to be accepted. That kind of man is rare, and rarity creates desire. Notice something important here. None of these refusals are about manipulation. They are about self-alignment. Smart men don't refuse to punish women. They refuse to abandon themselves, and women can sense the difference immediately. When you refuse emotional availability on demand, you teach her to value your presence. When you refuse disrespect, you teach her how to treat you. These lessons are not spoken. They are felt, and feelings are what drive attraction, commitment, and long-term desire. Most men fear refusal because they think it will push women away. In reality, it filters out the wrong ones and deepens connection with the right ones, because the women who are meant for you are not scared of your boundaries. They are drawn to them. When a man finally understands this, he stops trying to be chosen. He starts choosing. And that shift changes the entire dynamic between masculine and feminine energy in a way no tactic ever could. The moment a man stops performing, a woman starts paying attention, not because she wants to be entertained, but because she senses something solid beneath the surface. Smart men refuse to perform masculinity for approval. They don't exaggerate confidence. They don't posture. They don't try to impress with stories, money, or dominance. They let their presence speak. Performance is exhausting, and women feel that exhaustion. When a man is trying too hard to be seen as valuable, it signals that he doesn't believe he already is. And belief is contagious. If you doubt your own worth, she will feel that doubt before she ever questions her attraction. A man who refuses to perform is relaxed in his skin. He doesn't need constant reactions. He doesn't fish for compliments. He doesn't change his tone or opinions to match the room. That steadiness creates emotional gravity. People lean toward what feels grounded. This is where many men get confused. They think attraction comes from intensity. In reality, attraction comes from consistency. A man who is the same in private as he is in public creates trust. And trust deepens desire instead of killing it when it's paired with polarity. Smart men also refuse to overshare their past wounds too early. Vulnerability is powerful, but timing matters. When a man unloads his pain before a woman has earned access to it, it shifts the dynamic. She stops feeling curiosity and starts feeling responsibility. Responsibility is heavy. Desire is light. Refusing to overshare is not emotional suppression. It's emotional discernment. It's knowing that your story has weight, and not everyone deserves to carry it. When a man shares selectively, his words land deeper. They matter more. Women don't want to be flooded with your history. They want to feel chosen to know it. There's another refusal that separates boys from men. Smart men refuse to argue feelings. When a woman says she feels a certain way, an insecure man tries to debate logic. A smart man listens without surrendering his frame. He acknowledges emotion without invalidating his own reality. Arguing feelings drains attraction because it turns connection into conflict. Calm acknowledgement, on the other hand, creates emotional safety. Safety doesn't mean agreement. It means presence without panic. A man who can sit with emotion without being shaken by it becomes emotionally magnetic. Notice the pattern forming. These refusals are all rooted in inner stability. Smart men don't chase control, they embody it, and embodiment is something women sense instantly. Even if they can't explain why they feel drawn in, there is a quiet power in a man who doesn't need to prove anything. He laughs easily, he listens deeply, he moves through interactions without urgency. That lack of urgency is rare in a world full of men trying to be seen, and rarity sharpens attraction. When you refuse to perform, overshare, or argue emotions, you create space. Space for mystery, space for desire, space for her to lean forward emotionally instead of you leaning in desperately. Most men are taught to add more to become attractive, more words, more effort, more availability. Smart men learn the opposite. They subtract what weakens their presence. They remove noise. What remains is clarity, and clarity is seductive because clarity signals self-knowledge and self-knowledge signals leadership, not loud leadership, quiet leadership, the kind that doesn't announce itself but is felt in every interaction. This is why women often say they can't explain why they like a man. It's not about what he does, it's about what he refuses to do. And those refusals quietly reshape how she feels when she's around him without a single trick or tactic involved. The strongest men are not the ones who hold on the tightest. They are the ones who are willing to let go without collapsing. Smart men refuse emotional bargaining. They don't trade affection for compliance. They don't withdraw warmth to manipulate. And they don't give more hoping it will finally be enough. Emotional bargaining sounds like compromise, but it's actually fear wearing a polite mask. It's saying, if I give a little more, maybe you'll choose me. Women feel that imbalance immediately. Attraction cannot survive where approval is being negotiated. A man who refuses emotional bargaining stays emotionally consistent. His warmth is real, not strategic. His distance, when it appears, is natural, not punitive. That consistency creates emotional safety because it removes confusion. And confusion is one of the fastest ways desire erodes. Smart men also refuse to chase mixed signals. This is critical. When a woman sends hot and cold energy, an insecure man tries harder. A smart man observes. He doesn't confront, he doesn't chase clarity, he simply matches energy or steps back. Refusing to chase mixed signals communicates self-rust. It says, I don't need to force alignment. If it's there, it will show itself. If it's not, I'm not afraid to walk. That willingness to walk is not arrogance. It's self-respect. And self-respect is deeply attractive because it means you won't abandon your standards to avoid loneliness. Women may test this unconsciously, not to hurt you, but to see if you are stable. When you pass that test, something shifts. Her nervous system relaxes because she senses strength. There's another refusal that changes everything. Smart men refuse to make a woman their emotional center. This doesn't mean they don't care. It means their purpose, direction, and identity exist independently. When a man orbits a woman emotionally, polarity collapses. Attraction needs tension. Tension requires two whole people, not one person leaning while the other carries. A man with his own mission brings energy into the connection instead of draining it. He doesn't need the relationship to feel complete, and that completeness is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who have somewhere to go, not just physically, but internally. A man who is anchored to something larger than the relationship creates admiration. Admiration fuels desire long after novelty fades. Refusing to make her the center also protects the relationship. It prevents pressure. It allows affection to be chosen freely, not demanded silently. When a woman feels chosen instead of needed, her attraction deepens. Notice how these refusals remove neediness without removing warmth. That balance is rare. Most men swing between cold detachment and emotional dependence. Smart men stay centered. They don't disappear. They don't cling. They remain present without losing themselves. This presence feels calming. It feels exciting. It feels safe. And safety combined with excitement is the emotional formula for long-term attraction. When you stop bargaining, stop chasing mixed signals, and stop making her the center of your emotional world, you create space for genuine connection, not forced, not negotiated, real. And here's the truth most men avoid. If refusing these things causes someone to leave, they were never aligned with you in the first place. Loss is not always failure. Sometimes it's clarity. Smart men understand that attraction is not built by holding on harder. It's built by standing firmly where you are and letting the right people meet you there. The final layer of attraction isn't built in moments of passion. It's built in moments where a man chooses dignity over desire. Smart men refuse to abandon their standards just because attraction is present. And this is where most men fail quietly. Desire has a way of blurring judgment. When a man likes a woman, he's tempted to overlook incompatibility, excuse behavior he wouldn't normally accept, and silence his intuition to keep access. Women feel this immediately, and when they do, attraction weakens, even if connection remains. A man who refuses to lower his standards communicates something powerful. I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to lose what doesn't align. That message doesn't threaten a healthy woman. It reassures her because it means the man standing in front of her is not driven by impulse but by values. Standards are not rules you impose on others. They are boundaries you enforce for yourself. Smart men don't announce them. They live them. They don't try to change women. They simply choose differently. And choice is far more attractive than control. Another critical refusal happens internally. Smart men refuse to internalize rejection. When something doesn't work out, they don't turn it into a story about their worth. They don't chase closure. They don't demand explanations. They accept information and move forward intact. This emotional resilience is deeply attractive because it signals maturity. A man who doesn't crumble at rejection feels safe to connect with. Women want to be desired, not responsible for repairing a man's self-esteem. Refusing to internalize rejection also keeps your energy clean. There's no bitterness, no resentment, no hidden agenda, just calm acceptance. That calmness is rare, and rarity creates pull. Smart men also refuse to live in potential. They don't fall in love with who a woman could be if things changed. They pay attention to who she is now. Potential is intoxicating, but it's also dangerous. It keeps men stuck in hope instead of reality. When a man chooses reality over fantasy, he becomes grounded. And grounded men are trusted. Trust leads to openness. Openness deepens connection. This is how attraction turns into something sustainable instead of chaotic. Notice how none of these refusals are allowed. They are quiet decisions made internally, and yet women feel them immediately because women are highly attuned to emotional congruence. When your words, actions, and standards align, your presence feels solid. A man with standards doesn't need to convince. He doesn't need to chase. His life already reflects his values, and that reflection acts like a mirror. It invites the right women closer and gently repels the wrong ones. This is the moment many men misunderstand. They think refusing means missing out. In reality, refusing is how you narrow your focus to what actually fulfills you. Attraction built on self-abandonment always collapses. Attraction built on self-respect compounds. When you stop internalizing rejection, stop living in potential, and stop lowering your standards, something shifts inside you. You move differently, you speak differently, you listen differently, and women respond differently without knowing exactly why. Because at the deepest level, attraction is not about what you give. It's about who you are when no one is watching. And smart men refuse to become someone they don't respect just to be wanted. What separates the men women truly desire from the men they settle for isn't looks, money, or even charm. It's refusal, not random refusal, strategic refusal. Refusal to weaken yourself for approval, attention, or validation. The four things we've uncovered, refusing to over-explain, refusing to rush intimacy, refusing emotional availability on demand, refusing disrespect, are only the beginning. Because real mastery comes when refusal becomes a lifestyle. Smart men refuse to chase what doesn't align with their purpose. They refuse to bend to pressure disguised as attraction. They refuse to become someone else's emotional project. And in that refusal, they create polarity that is invisible yet undeniable. Women feel it in subtle ways. A hesitation to leave, a lingering smile, eyes that linger longer than reason allows. This is not manipulation. It is natural consequence. When you honor yourself, others honor you. Here's something most men never realize. The women who notice this level of refusal are rarely the ones who are easy to impress. They are high-value women themselves, women who are finely tuned to detect presence, boundaries, and integrity. They respond to power that is quiet, stable, and self-contained because it signals security. And security is sexy on a biological level. It signals a man who can protect, lead, and maintain his life without falling apart over desire. Smart men also refuse to outsource their confidence. They don't rely on her reactions to feel worthy. Every compliment, smile, or text doesn't become a lifeline. That detachment is not coldness. It is mastery. It is self-possession that communicates without words. I am enough. And if you want to be part of my life, you must choose me, not try to mold me. This is magnetic because it creates a subtle challenge. A challenge is irresistible. Refusal also refinances your relationships. By refusing to tolerate disrespect, refusing to chase approval, refusing to be anyone but yourself, you filter out superficial connections. What remains are women who are drawn to the real you. Women who respect your standards and women whose desire grows naturally because they see a man who will never abandon himself. Desire built this way is deep, enduring, and impossible to fake. Let's be honest, this is not easy. Society trains men to give too much, to apologize too quickly, to negotiate attraction like a transaction. Most men panic when a woman resists or withdraws. But the smart man remains grounded. He knows that attraction follows alignment, not negotiation. He knows that by refusing the wrong things, he attracts the right energy effortlessly. Now, here's the challenge for you. Think of your own life. Write it down. Where have you been giving too much, explaining too much, bending too quickly, or tolerating disrespect? Take that inventory. Subtract what weakens you. Notice what remains. That is your power. That is the version of you who women cannot help but notice. And here's your personal equation. If X is the value you give, you freely without boundaries, and Y is the value you withhold to protect yourself, how much attraction does Z, the right woman, feel? Solve it in your life and share your answer in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this video with the men in your life who need to hear this truth. Because real attraction isn't taught in schools, it isn't handed out in dating apps, and it isn't obvious in movies. It's earned through refusal. And once you master it, the game changes forever.